Hello, welcome to Verbling. I am Teacher Oakley, and this class will mark the beginning of a short 4-day series on the TOEFL reading exam. Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about the format. I'm going to outline some basic strategies and tips and try to talk a little bit about the scoring and a little bit about really key factors you have to focus on when studying and preparing for this exam. I know. When you first look at this exam, you go, "What the heck?" It seems confounding, but when you get used to it a little bit and you break it down, it becomes a lot simpler to deal with. The main thing, and we'll talk more about this, but the main problem, people overthink it. This exam is actually simplifying information, deconstructing and simplifying things will make it so much easier for you to deal with in this particular exam. Okay, before we get started, let me welcome some students to the class. Hello, Giovanni. How are you? Hi. Giovanni? No. Ah, there we go. Giovanni? Is that...
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm from Italy. I'm Giovanni, and I'm here because I need to do the TOEFL before summer. Okay.
All right. Well, you're in the right spot then. Hopefully you can join me throughout the week. Today, Giovanni and everybody else, today is basically an overview. I'm going to talk a lot, so I tend to get excited and explain things, but please don't be shy about asking me any questions at any point during the class. Don't be shy, guys. All right? I welcome your questions. All right? Okay? Anything.
Okay.
Whatever. Right? TOEFL compared to IELTS. You want to ask about other aspects of the TOEFL exam. I don't care. Whatever questions you have. Because today's an overview. The ensuing 3 classes at this particular time slot here on Verbling for the rest of the week, we are going to do nothing but practice, 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 practice. Okay? So, all right, that's the plan for today. Hello, Cornell. How are you?
Hi, Oakley. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Great. Oh, I'm doing okay.
May I have a general question about Verbling? Why are not there enough classes on Verbling?
It's a good question. I don't know. I can't even manage to pick up all the class slots that are available. I don't know why. What I do know is that a colleague of mine just got hired, and he also wants to work in around this time slot. So I know they've hired at least one person, maybe a couple, 3 people. So I do believe that they are addressing this concern. I believe they've got a bunch of people hired.
There has been the flow for one month, as far as I know.
I know. Part of that, I can tell you right now, part of it's my fault. I went on vacation for a week and a half, so I normally pick up 20 classes a week. So,
yeah, I know.
Sorry. And I think one of my colleagues also was on vacation. So I think that's part of the problem. Yeah, vacation time. But I know, I just happen to know because it's a personal friend of mine, just got hired. So he's looking to pick up a lot of classes. So I'm pretty sure this problem will be solved soon. Insider information I have. I don't even think I'm supposed to know that. Shh, don't tell. Anyway, he's a colleague of mine, and I've worked with him before, so I think you're going to enjoy him. Look for Teacher Mark He'll be showing up here soon, I'm sure. Anyway, good question. As I did say, any questions, I'm ready to answer. Hello, Carlos. Welcome to the class.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Good to have you here. Where are you from, Carlos?
I'm from Mexico.
Mexico. Okay. Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the class. All right. Let's get started. All right. So the TOEFL exam, they've gradually pretty much phased out. I don't know entirely, but pretty much phased out the written form of the test. So you're probably going to be looking at the TOEFL IBT, it's called. This is an internet-based test. Okay, so when you take the TOEFL exam, you're going to be sitting there with a headset, microphone, speaking part of the exam. You're recorded. You're talking to the computer, and you're interacting with the computer. The format, the actual computer format, I'm going to show you real quick. Real simple. Just real super basic type of processor, and it's really easy to follow the instructions. It'll have you do a microphone check and a headphone or speaker check before you start the exam. Very user-friendly and very simple, so don't worry about that. Okay, let's get to reading. Actually, reading and actually through the whole test. Every aspect of the test, that is reading, listening, writing, and speaking, it's all computerized, it's all timed. So your main enemy is not even the material. Your main enemy is the clock, in all reality. You're constantly fighting the clock. I'll have more to say about that and strategy in just a moment. The exam will consist of 3 to 5 reading passages. Usually it's 3 now. There's going to be roughly 12 to 15 questions. It'll be different for each reading passage. There are approximately 11 different types of questions. Now, when you're studying, you want to become familiar really with 2 things, and we're going to start looking at those 2 things today. Number 1, the types of questions, because your strategy will vary slightly depending on the type of question. And number 2, you need to become familiar with the traps, the tricks, the wrong answers. If you practice enough, you will become proficient, you will become good at. You'll see answers like A, B, C, D, multiple choice answers, and you will instantly be able to recognize, oh, that's classic TOEFL trap answer. Oh, this one is definitely wrong. You'll be able to eliminate answers very quickly because you will become familiar with how they present these wrong answers. You've got to recognize the traps. They try to trick you. They do. They're evil. It's horrible. But absolutely, they will be trying to fool you. Okay. The test is 60 minutes. You're going to have about 40 questions. About, maybe a few more. All right. So as you were doing, let me do a screen share to show you. Basically, I do believe that I'm going to screen share just a picture of what it looks like. I do believe the design has been changed. In fact, I know the design has been changed. This is an old design, but just so you sort of get the idea of what you're going to be looking at. All right, you're going to see the reading column. Again, super simple. A screen with a okay, pause the test. You can't really do that. I don't think that exists anymore. Section exit, you don't want to hit that because that means you're done. You give up, you surrender. So ignore these these things. Hide the time. Of course, you don't want to hide the time. You need to know, here's a basic tip. You need to know basically where you are. I have a total of 40 questions. I've answered 20, and it's 40 minutes have gone by. Well, obviously, I need to pick it up because I've got 20 more questions in 20 minutes. So don't hide the time. Now, what is good, the help button, fairly useless, but what is good, in the reading test, you can go back. You can jump around in the test. Perfectly okay and very, very easy to do. They'll take you to the reading passage section of questions, say 1 through 12. And you see, 1 through 12 written here, and you can see it's marked green if you made it, if you already answered it. It's very clear. It's very obvious. So you can click on, say, question 4, and instantly you're at question 4. This is not a problem because you will see the question and you will also see the reading passage wherever you are. Every question comes up, you can see the reading passage it's associated with. So you don't have to worry about scrolling up or down or moving back and forth. It's not a problem. You can move right along. So basically, that's it. You don't really need anything except back and next. You want to skip one, you go to the next. You want to go back, you go back. You can check. There's another button where you can check unanswered questions, and it'll automatically pull them up. Okay. Let's talk about some basic principles. All right. This may seem stupid and simple, but it is really essential. It's there. The answer is there. In this reading test, and frankly, it's really the same idea, other reading exams, CAE, TOEFL, IELTS, really doesn't matter what you're talking about. Always. The answer is in there. Every single question can be found in the passage. The key is you have to conceive of the reading passage as if you were an alien and you just landed on Earth and you know nothing about this information. If you know a lot about the reading passage information, that can get you in trouble. What you know may disagree with what the reading passage says. And it's not about what is right in the bigger universal right and wrong. It is not about that. It is about what's actually presented to you in the information you're given. There have been, I've done I don't know how many reading passages for practice. I've found reading passages that I strongly disagree with the author's conclusions. I have to be extra careful not to allow my opinion to seep into my answering. I have to remain neutral. This is really important. So there's two aspects here. One is don't let your own preconceived notions or your own ideas color your responses. I can.
Sorry. Sorry. Hi.
Hi, Ken. Who are you talking to? No problem. I can. Welcome to the class. Okay. All right. So my point being, don't let your whatever information, that's the information. You may end up reading things that you personally think are completely wrong. I know I have with many of the, not many, but a few of the reading passages I've disagreed with. So be very careful of that. Because you know some of the, maybe the reading passage does not go as far as your own personal knowledge. Do not let that color your answers. Just because you know that something may be true, it may not be true on the test because it was not in the passage. It's got to be in the passage, all right? So that's That's the point. Furthermore, there is a type of question called an inference question where you must infer the answer. Now, of course, when we infer things, we basically make guesses based on what we know. The inference question type is very difficult for many test takers, but the fact is that it's not a big leap in logic. It has to be true. There's no other way it could be anything else. It doesn't say it specifically, but the contextual information, the background information makes it like there's no way it could be anything else. I don't know. There's a new color when blue and red are mixed together, and one of your answers is A. The color will be purple. Well, okay, with even a very basic knowledge of colors, you know that has to be true. That's what I mean by an inference that is completely logical, can't be anything else. All right. Okay. Now, let's talk about that nasty time. All right, you got 60 minutes, 39, whatever. Sometimes there's 42, but right around 40 questions. They sometimes change that. Most questions are worth 1 point each. Be careful. Some questions are worth 2 points, sometimes even 3. The summary questions tend to be worth more. They are the 2 point or more value, higher value questions are always at the end. So if you have a reading passage and then a section of questions 1 through 12, the 2 point question undoubtedly will be question 12. Okay. The scoring. A note on the scoring. Now, you've got 39, 42 questions, whatever. People frequently ask me how they score. I don't know. It's considered priority information, and they don't actually tell. What I do know is that you have a raw score. If you got, say, 32 questions out of 39, that's your raw score. They scale it to a 30-point scale. So a perfect test would be 30 points. A perfect TOEFL exam, 30 points in the 4 sections, that's 120. So somehow they scale it down. They scale it based on the degree of difficulty of past students. It has something to do with how past students did with all these questions on the test. So that's not so easy to formulate for you because we have no idea of knowing how students in the past did on this particular example. Obviously, it's going to be different, so you never know precisely how it gets scaled. Okay, you've got 60 minutes. You've got 39, 40, 42 questions, whatever. 3 passages. All right, here's the thing. Some question types are inherently faster or easier. Absolutely. Yes, they are. And I can make generalities. In general, students kind of struggle with the inference questions and the summary questions I've already mentioned. Those are usually more difficult. Some students find vocabulary questions to be a piece of cake, really, really easy. Others struggle because they're not as good in vocabulary, obviously. So, what question types are faster or easier for you? Faster or slower, harder or easier? Depends on you as an individual, and this is something you're going to have to figure out yourself. No one can tell you because that's very individual. Because your only goal, fight that clock and get as many points as humanly possible. One possible system is to use what's called the two-pass system, because it's very easy to go back and see what questions you did not answer. If you learn what types of questions are easy for you, do all those first. Types of questions that take you a long time to answer because you've practiced and you know, or you get wrong a lot when you've practiced, save those for last. Do all the higher probability questions first. It just makes sense because it's really easy to go back. All right, so many students, roughly half of the students who take this exam, don't finish all the answers. Here's another point. There's no, the way the test is scaled in scoring, there's no, you don't lose any extra points for having a wrong answer as opposed to no answer. So you might as well guess. So if you've got 2 minutes left and 7 questions and they're multiple choice questions, just guess. You might get 2 of those 7 right if you're lucky, you know. Why not? So anyway, don't leave anything blank, but the two-pass system, once you figured out what questions you're good at, do those questions first and come back. It's really, it's just a click. Just a quick click of a button. Okay. Other very basic strategy. You're looking at a lot of multiple choice. You're going to be using process of elimination. Frankly, if they have A, B, C, D answers, one of those 4 answers, of course, will be correct. One of them is frequently a very stupid answer, just to be blunt. 2 of them will be traps. It will be, you're going to have to use logic, and you're going to have to recognize those traps. So, process of elimination, obviously, this is going to happen to you if you're taking this exam. You're going to be able to eliminate A and B, and you're going to be stuck looking at C and D, and you're going to have to go for it and pick one or the other. So, but by eliminating A and B, you've doubled your chances from 25% to 50%. That's it. Okay. Here's some good advice. There's a couple pieces of good advice I want to point out here. Okay. Okay. Never blindly pick the first answer that stands out or seems good. It may be a trap. It's frequently a trap. That's the whole idea of a trap question, a trap answer, rather, is to look good. If it doesn't look good, you know, if the cheese doesn't look good, the mouse isn't going to try to get it. So, obviously, the trap answers are going to look good. Okay. Let's take a look. Here's a vocabulary type question as a sample. All right. So you see it's gray shaded. It'll be gray shaded. It'll be easy to find. First of all, this type of question, one thing we know, it's going to be very fast. I do not have to search the information to find the answer. I have to look for the gray shaded part in the reading passage. So, okay, right off I know this is very fast. Whether it's difficult or not, I don't know. These types of questions, vocabulary questions, some people find them very easy, others find them difficult. Either way, it's going to be very fast. Okay, so here you go. This would be, it has bullet points, but it really would be A, B, C, D. All right, so, okay, we're really only concerned what we're going to do. We're going to try substituting. You might want to read the sentence or two before it. That may give you some contextual clues to what the word means. And you're going to want to substitute in these other possibilities for the word, see if it makes sense. Now, okay, Okay. Now, before we go ahead and do that, you can make notes. You can write notes all through the exam, actually, in listening, in speaking. You can write yourself an outline in writing, whatever. You can make notes. So here is a suggestion of a way to make symbol notes for yourself as you do the test. You don't have to use exactly these. Whatever works for you. It doesn't matter. But, for example, next to the A, B, C, D, all right, a check for what looks to be a good response, a dash, something, I don't know, whatever. For a weak answer, question mark if you have no clue. For example, one of those answers, you have no idea what the answer word means. Maybe check or a plus. I use a plus sign. Great, whatever you want to do. And just cross out the bad answers, eliminate them immediately. I personally, when I'm taking the test, I actually physically cross them out. I mean, I basically make sure that I big X for D. Okay, so I know. Okay, so for example, you got a piece of paper. All right, you might do something like this. You may not. You're going to get good enough so you don't need a piece of paper for the vocabulary questions, I'm telling you. But when you start out, you may want to do this. Okay, so for example, appropriateness doesn't fit at all. It makes no sense in the sentence. That's, as I said, that's going to be common. Maybe one answer is iffy. One answer is good and it works. One answer, you don't know the word, viability, for example. So, in other words, process of elimination, obviously I'll eliminate A. Might as well eliminate B because I've got two other possibilities. All right, now I've got a 50-50 chance. So, Giovanni, do you know what the word feasibility means? We don't have context, but what do you think the answer is?
Oh, I don't know. Feasibility. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, actually, feasibility probably means possibility. We don't even have the context, but most likely that is a meaning. Okay. Context will show you, will help you a lot. Okay. All right. Now, okay. All right. You're going to be unsure of the answer. It's no doubt about it. But, oh, one thing they often do, well, we'll get to that. All right. Well, we're going to get to that right now. Here, I mentioned this earlier. One of the main things you're doing as you're preparing for this exam, and that many of my students just completely ignore, just don't bother to do. I don't know why, because this is amazingly helpful. Recognize the types of wrong answers. There's only a few. They do the same thing over and over again. One thing, okay, they're evil and they try to fool you, and that's horrible and it's very frustrating. However, they're extremely consistent and they're not very creative. The type of wrong answers are over and over and over again the same. Okay? They don't do a whole lot. They're super boringly consistent. Here are some types of wrong answers. The answer that they give you, the choice A, B, C, D, is not mentioned. It's not in the passage at all. Again, every correct answer must be found in the passage. Often, okay, as I was mentioning, the answer makes common sense or may be true in the real world. Again, you have to suspend your belief in reality. The only thing that exists is what's in the reading passage. So even though it may make perfect sense to you, it may be wrong because it's not in the reading passage. It has to be in there to be correct. So, not mentioned. This is a very common trap. Here is another super common and easy, really easy to spot. Answers with words that using absolutes or quantifiers. Okay, if you see never, none, always, impossible, must, these absolute words, first of all, you're reading academic passages. Academic passages should not even contain absolutes. Science is not absolute. Theories are theories. No one says they're 100% sure it has to be this way. Science doesn't work like that, and neither do these passages. So if you see these absolutes in the answers, 99.9% of the time that's going to be an incorrect choice. Another way they do the same thing. The reading passage will say something often happens, and then your answer choice B will say something, the same thing, seldom happens. Watch out for those quantifiers, how often something happens, how frequently, adverbs of frequency, or how much something happens. Okay, a little bit of water is contained in the cyst, but the reading passage will say a great deal of water, like that. So be very careful about those types of words. If they're different, if you see those words in the answers, you need to check them in the reading passage to see if they're the same or they're different. What they will likely be, if it's a correct answer, it won't likely be exactly the same word. It will be a synonym, which is what they do with the right answers. They give you a synonym, not exactly the same words. Here's another type. Right answer, wrong question. Okay, watch for these. This is purely logic. The possible answer, the fake answer, it is information in the passage, but it doesn't actually answer the question. Here is a very simple tip for you, and I do this constantly, not only in reading, I do it in the listening test as well, and I do it in, frankly, I do it in every section of the test. One very basic point. You have to understand the question, but you have to understand the question in a personal way, meaning you have to understand the question. Reword, rephrase each question. Absolutely every question you come up against, say it in a different way to yourself, okay, in the most simple way that you can. Sometimes the question is very, you know, the word feasibility means, all right, how are you going to reword that in another way? You really can't. It's about as simple as it gets. It's a very direct question. Other times they try to add extra information in the question, add distractors, all right? Simplify, simplify, simplify. So make sure if you do this type of wrong answer is easy to avoid. It really is. This basically very quickly eliminates this. You read the question in your own mind, so you've already, you know what information you're looking for in your brain, not what they're saying. It really eliminates this type of wrong answer very quickly. Okay. Here's another type. This one's very tricky, actually. Verbatim. Wrong answers will actually give information word for word. Sometimes it's right answer, wrong question. Sometimes it's a word, a vocabulary word, which can be used with two different meanings. And they will use the word with the wrong meaning. even though the same exact word, be careful of this. Even though they use the same word in the reading passage as in the possible answer, in the reading passage it means one thing, and in the answer it means another thing. For example, it's the word court. Okay, court is the place where you find lawyers and judges and legal decisions are made. Court is also a verb that means, a formal verb that means to date someone or to try to get somebody to marry you. You court a young lady. Well, there you go. The answer will be talking about courting a young lady, and the reading passage will be talking about taking a young lady to court, as in suing her in court. This is what we're talking about. So be careful of that. Vocabulary words with more than one meaning. They will try to get you on that. Beyond the information, too much information, more information that is in the passage. For example, the passage states, some species of chimpanzees make crude tools out of the branches. If the answer says, A, B, C, D, says many animals can make tools, well, you're taking a very specific piece of information, chimpanzees can make tools, and you're making it into all kinds of animals can make tools. That's going too far. Goes right along with the idea, the answer is always in the reading passage. Okay, so this is maybe the hardest one. Sometimes that beyond the information is quite logical. Maybe it's something you know. Maybe you know that many animals can make tools, and you know that to be a truth, but it's not in the passage. So this is really the kind of the hardest one. You really have to think about this one when these types of wrong answers. Some of the, okay, not mentioned is really easy to pick out. So is extreme. Once you get used to it and you see a few examples of this, it gets really easy to see these. This is a right answer, wrong question is a little more difficult. Verbatim requires time because you really have to consider what they mean by the word. But it's not that hard. Right answer, wrong question is good if you become good at rephrasing the questions. Beyond the information, that's the difficult one, really. You really have to consider, is it in the passage? While you're taking this exam over and over and over again, be asking yourself, is it in the passage?
Sorry, teacher.
Yes,
I
Giovanni.
have a question. Because some month ago I've tried an exam, and I think that I've noticed that I would like to have to be sure about this. Is that when you start the exam, you have the reading, and that you can read the whole text, and then the answer starts. No, then there are the questions. I say you can before you can read, and then there are the questions, but I've noticed that it's not so important to read before the question, because every question you need to read the paragraph. So it's better to save time, I think, to start directly from the question and say, in paragraph 1, what is the meaning of this word? So you read only the paragraph 1, answer to all the questions in paragraph 1, then move to the second paragraph. I don't know if it's correct or not. What do you think? Is a good...
Yes. Well, thank you. You segued into my next thing I need to talk to you about. Very good. Good job, Giovanni. Okay, what Giovanni's talking about, he's absolutely correct. The entire reading passage is presented, and then the questions. And the reading passage will be there when you're doing the questions, so you search back and forth. Giovanni, what you're talking about is skimming and scanning. Okay. Frankly, there's the extremes. What you probably want to do is somewhere in the middle, which may be individual to you. Now, Giovanni's talking about reading the whole thing first, word for word, start to finish. and then going to the questions. Okay, that's one extreme. Giovanni, then you're talking about the other extreme. Ignore reading any of it, go right to the questions. For some, like the feasibility, where you can just find the answers, obviously it's totally pointless to read the entire passage. You're just going to pick out the word and see what makes sense in that sentence, right? So, okay, the truth is you probably want to do something in the middle, which is to say, don't spend 5 to 8 minutes reading start to finish. Instead, spend 2 or 3 minutes skimming. Get the idea. Now, so in other words, get the general idea. What you really want to know, because there are questions about it, there are definitely summary questions, so you want to be able to get the general idea. What is the topic? What is the controlling idea? Okay, it's about dinosaurs. Great. That's the topic. The controlling idea is the life cycle of carnivores that were dinosaurs. Great. All right, so I understand that. You should understand there may be questions about what the author's intentions are. Is he disputing a theory? Is he supporting a theory? Is he adding information? Is he giving information in sequence, in time order? So you should have an idea of what the author's doing. This will help you actually find answers later if you know how the author's, what he intends and how he's laying out the article. So to answer your question long-windedly, basically something in between those two approaches, Giovanni. Skim it to get a general idea. This will help you actually. You're investing a little bit of time because you can remember, oh, I saw Tyrannosaurus Rex, that was in the second paragraph. And then, oh yeah, they talk about Allosaurus and the Allosaurus eggs, that was the second to last paragraph. So it will help you to map. So it can save you precious seconds, again, fighting that clock, if you skim it first. And it will help when it's time to do the summary part. How to skim effectively. Okay, a quick note on that. First of all, the topic, controlling idea, the author's intention, and how he's going to lay it out will all be in the first paragraph. Pretty much guarantee it. So it's probably a good idea to read the first paragraph in its entirety. After that, most sentences, not all, most new paragraph, the first sentence of the paragraph will introduce the paragraph. So, good idea to read the first sentence and then skim down, see what words they keep using over and over again. Oh, Tyrannosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Tyrannosaurus. Okay, remember that's where that is. Next paragraph, okay, problems with the eggs is the first sentence, and then shells, protein, calcium, okay. Done. That's it. That's literally how fast you're skimming a supporting paragraph. Seconds. 5 seconds. Okay, just getting that, reading the first sentence real fast. Skimming for some keywords, some of the bigger words. Perhaps nouns and verbs. Never mind adjectives and adverbs. But basically, when you're skimming, verbs and adverbs, verbs and nouns that are repeated are really important. Are there going to be the important words you're going to come back and look for? Okay, that's basically it. And then you're right. When you get to the questions, you're going to scan. Sometimes they tell you exactly where to look. Sometimes they don't. Skimming is going through. Scanning is looking for a keyword in the question and trying to search for that one word specifically. So, Giovanni, a mixture in the middle.
Okay,
That's what you want to do. Somewhere in the middle. That is something you have to hone on your own. And believe me, some students have problems Oh, I don't know how to scan properly. It takes practice. Just skimming, you're going to get better at skimming. You're going to get better at scanning for information. You just need to practice. You will get a lot better. Of course, I teach this, so I'm doing this all the time. I amaze myself how fast I can find keywords in a reading passage. I really do. It's just practice. It's not because I'm a genius, not at all. I have average intelligence. It's just I've practiced so much. You get faster and faster and faster and better at it, quite honestly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you know what your bad answers look like. And believe me, what do we look at? 4 or 5 different types of bad answers? 5? That's all that's it. That's it. One of them, every bad answer in the whole exam falls into one of those categories, frankly, and you will start to recognize them, and you'll recognize them immediately. Now, I have to say, sometimes they will fool you. They will use one of their trap style answers, and it will be correct. So you still got to double check, but at least you know what you're double checking for. Okay, so that will help you a lot. Believe me, you'll get used to it. Okay, another thing I want to talk to you guys about today. All right. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to do a screen share here. Another thing, you have to practice. I already mentioned it. You have to understand which questions are easy and which ones are difficult for you. Vocabulary and context, that was that example that we saw with feasibility. Most people think these are easy questions. It depends, of course, on your vocabulary, but usually it really doesn't matter what the actual reading passage is about. Words are general words. They don't have, you know, I don't know. They're not going to have Paleozoic, okay? If you're talking about dinosaurs, they're not going to have very specific vocabulary. It'll be vocabulary in a general way. Reference questions. Oh, these are fairly easy. Okay. Pardon me. They'll ask what a pronoun, for example, is referring to. Usually these are fairly simple. Actually, rarely is it actually something as simple as a pronoun. His, her, their. Sometimes, but rarely. Usually it's like a relative pronoun or a pronoun phrase, like the one who did it. Okay, what does the one who did it refer to? Things like that. Those are generally fairly easy. Okay, lead words. These are rare. There's a lot of vocabulary questions. Definitely going to be 3 or 4 reference questions on the exam. Vocabulary questions just could be a dozen. Could be 25% of your score. So you've got to become an adept at it, regardless if it's easy for you or not. Lead words are kind of rare, actually. Oh, okay. Okay, lead words will refer to, like, why are they starting the sentence with this? Those are rare, anyway. Detail questions are actually really easy. They're actually asking you to just search. Just search for very, very, very specific phrases, usually. This is actually really easy. There's nothing, takes no brain power at all. It's like word find. It's nothing. Paraphrase questions. Okay, this is a little... You're going to be doing this throughout the whole test, actually. I told you should be paraphrasing the questions in your mind. Okay, so they will ask you to find to pick an answer, one sentence in the reading passage will be bold. So they want you to answer what is the paraphrased answer. Again, this one is not so difficult, really. Definition, okay, asks you to find the part of the passage that defines a certain word or phrase. So they give you the word or phrase, and then they ask, where is the definition? It's usually somewhat disguised. It doesn't look like a dictionary definition. So it's, sometimes this one's a little bit harder to find. It can be disguised by using, well, here's another point. All right, for example, this type of question. Simplify, simplify, simplify. They may give you the definition for anthropomorphic, okay? Whatever. They may give you the definition, but it may be hidden. It may be hidden because they use prepositional phrases, relative clauses, things like where, whose main function is, okay. Overuse of adjectives. When you're simplifying, get rid of prepositional phrases. Get rid of relative clauses. Get rid of extra adjectives. Occasionally, adjectives will be important to your answer, but mostly not. To understanding, they're not. You don't need adjectives to understand. Basic subject, noun, main verb, object. Basically, if you're having and this definition question is one where you may have a problem figuring out if that's really the answer. Usually, if you strip the possibilities down to their most very, very basic subject-verb sentence structure, this will really help you simplify things. Before, after, these are rare. It says it's rare. Yes, they are. What sentence or paragraph would precede or follow the passage? Sentence insertion is very common, however. These two are related. And usually what you're going to see is this. They will give you a sentence, and then they'll say, where does the sentence fit? And there will be marks in front of sentences in the passage. Here you're going to be looking for, actually, if anything, this is very similar to a reference question. Because you're going to, because in English writing, you're going to use reference words instead of the same noun over and over and over again. So you can usually figure it out by looking at the reference words that are used, the reference pronouns, etc. So this is common. Definitely going to be, there's usually one of these in each reading passage, normally. Except, not least, these are, I don't think these are particularly difficult. What they are is time consuming because they're really process of elimination. So you're looking for the answer that's not there. So 3 of the answers will be there. Most of the test, you're looking for the one answer that is on the test, and the other 3 are not. This is backwards. You're looking for the one that is not. So the only way to do this kind of question is to take time to actually find 3 things so you can eliminate them. So obviously, although they're really not that difficult, they are time consuming because they don't tell you where to even begin. So you're going to have to scan the entire passage 3 times to answer one question. I don't count these as difficult. I count these as time consuming, however. There will only be 1 or 2 of these on the test, by the way, usually. There's not a whole lot of these. But I've never seen a test that didn't have at least 1. Inference questions, there's going to be half a dozen or 8 of these roughly. Most people think these are the trickiest. Many people want to save them to the second pass. Again, they're difficult, but they're difficult because you're arguing semantics a lot of times. You know, it's like saying, what is the color red? Well, okay, is it the color of a fire engine, the color of a brick, the color of a traffic light, or the color of an Irish person's hair? Well, how the heck do you answer that question? It's quite relative. It's true in all cases, but which one is red for you? So that's why most people hate these questions. Sometimes they're based on semantics. They're a pain in the neck. I won't lie to you. They're tough. Again, they take practice, but the idea is they must be true based on the information. They could not be any other answer. For example, maybe that my stupid question as an example, what is the color red? Is it like a fire engine, a traffic light, a person's hair, brick? Maybe earlier in the passage it says, looking out over the streets of Leningrad as it shines with a red glow from the construction of the brick buildings. Great. So, okay. Okay, they mean red must be the color of bricks. All right, like that. There's some kind of reference for you. And the last one, again, typically worth 2 points. I've seen 3-pointers. Find the main points and ideas. We will be covering this in the days ahead. This is a difficult question type, but I have some excellent specific strategies for tackling this particular question. Too long to go into today, but there is a way to go about doing summary questions. And summary questions, there's a way to identify those false answers as well. Summary questions are a little bit different because they have a couple different types of false answers. One with way too specific information, like they will give examples, but an example cannot be a summary, part of a summary. That's too specific. And they use other ones where they don't, maybe only, well, half the answer, for example. This is it. So what you're trying to remember is maybe 5 types of trap answers. You've got to become accustomed to these, really, 10 types of questions, because frankly, before-after sentence insertion are the same thing, really. Basically, that's it. That's all there is. There's 10 types of questions. You've only got 5 types of wrong answers. And then, you know, once you can recognize these things and you know what you're looking at before you even sit down for the test, it's going to help you a lot. All right, guys, do you have any last questions for me here? Any questions? Carlos?
Yeah, only one question. If I do a bit time answering the questions, I will be more points.
Okay, if I understand you, are you asking if you answer the questions faster, will you get more points? Is that your question? No.
Yeah, that's my question.
No. No, you will not. You have 60 minutes to finish the exam. That's it. They don't care if you finish the exam in 30 minutes and walk outside and smoke a cigarette. Well, more power to you. It doesn't really matter. But you would get the same score as somebody who took the entire 60 minutes and answered all the questions. So there's no, just 60 minutes, your time is up.
Okay.
Shuts down, and you're done.
I see. Thank you.
Sure. Most people don't actually finish. Not most, but about half people, they end up 3, 4, 5 questions they didn't get to. It's very common. So nobody's going to finish in 30 minutes. I guarantee that. That's not going to happen. But okay. Anyway, I hope you guys can join me tomorrow. Practice. I will not be talking like today. Tomorrow, practice, so we can look at these different question types. Okay.
Fine.
Bye-bye. Thank you.